Hey guys, how you doing? Good evening. It's Chris and Terry from One Strong Home Warrior Wednesday, and we got a good show set up for you. All right, so hopefully you guys found our channel okay here. Again, remember everything's moving over to the Patreon, so if you haven't been on the Patreon yet, make sure you're going and find that. That's let me see here if I can put that on my screen. Patreon.com/One Strong Home. The beauty of that is that you guys will have the opportunity to ask us questions in person, and also when you're part of those tiers there, you get some additional content that you may not normally get, right? So if you're here on the YouTube, thank you, welcome, and joining us. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure you hit that notify button too, so that you are notified anytime we go live and anytime there's new stuff for you to view. And don't forget to check us also on onestrongHome.com. There's a really cool store there where you can get sweet stuff like this coffee mug. It's pretty cool hats, right? Shameless plug. There's some cool tanks. There's some tights. There's some sweatshirts, throw blankets, all the fun things that you can do to help support us in the program, the team. So thank you for being here. And we're going to go ahead and get started with today's show. So, Terry, you want to talk about what we're going to talk about?
I hear feedback from your phone.
Sorry, I hear my own feedback from my own phone. Well, today we're talking about being built by fire, right? How tough times strengthen warriors, right? Right now, there's a lot of things happening, and we've gone through some really tough times in the last, our adult life, and yours likely as well, that have helped make you be a more independent and a stronger person within your home and your household, and how you maybe prepare for some things. We're going to really go through that today because there's a lot of aspects right now that might make people feel a little afraid or concerned, and we're gonna really hopefully teach you how to turn those into some really good things that can help you and your family through these tough times. I want to bring up a quote. This quote that I got here today is from Michael Hopp. This was actually written in 2016. Might have stole it from somebody named Judy Harris in 2014, but it's hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. And those good times create weak men, and those weak men create hard times, right? And that's important. It's a phrase that's been used a couple of different ways. It was originally written in a book to talk about an apocalypse scenario, and it actually can flow really well into difficult things of our era, right? We see things with kids growing up and helping out at home. And we've all had those conversations where they're not doing enough, not doing their part. And we really feel strongly that those kids are part of your homestead and really should be involved in that. And they have their own mindset too on things that are tough for them, even though they're maybe school age.
Right. Yeah, I would see a lot of this. I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead, but as a teacher, I'd see a lot in the classroom where kids would come and they just say, "Oh, did you know this?" And they would surprise me like, "Oh, wow, you've been talking about this at home," and maybe it's just something they heard from a friend. So it's pretty important to have open conversation with your own kids, because if they're in public school or maybe even just hanging out with friends, they're going to be hearing it. Teenagers, all of the different streaming platforms are going to be seeing the videos, and they're going to be hearing stuff too, and they might have concerns that they're wondering about.
Yeah, and in case you have any worry about, or in case you don't know what we're talking about, our kids are talking about war, right? Well, our kids are talking about the issues that are going on in our daily life, and it's not just an adult conversation. These kids are hearing it, and they're having that conversation between themselves, and sometimes saying things that even aren't accurate, but they just hear little bits of it. They're not developed enough yet, right, where they have kind of the fullness that maybe some of their parents or adults might have. So make sure you're opening up and having that conversation and seeing what they know. And, you can still protect them at the same time. You can help them understand kind of what is going on and not just hearsay.
Well, and I wasn't talking specifically about that. I was actually talking in general. Kids talk about things that are in the news. And over the years, even 10 years ago, there were different things in the news, and that would be what was on their minds. That would be what they're talking about. So even if you think they don't know, then they probably know. And those conversations, whether it's about war or different things in the news, they're hearing it.
They are. We were talking about a couple of things that we've gone through in our life, your adult life probably as well. Going through the 2008 recession was big, right? And it was really hard on our family, hard on many local families. It was the first time when we felt like devastation could possibly happen. And that wasn't, boots on the ground, somebody attacking you kind of a deal, but it was definitely we are not secure in our own place because of, debt, because of workforce, and some of the difficulties that happened in our region. And it was really tough. And if you guys went through that and recall that, it's something I never want to relive. But it definitely taught us at a period in our life, especially when you had young children, that we needed to create a safer and more independent and more stable, home site, right? And so we'd shared with you guys before, food is one of the biggest things. Food security is vital, right? It is absolutely vital. We talked about it last week as well, and it's something that we can help you guys with, whether that's animal husbandry and raising chickens, or just for the eggs or for the meat or whatever, birds, going up through pigs and going through cattle, and then how to put those foods away. Because if you have enough food in your belly, man, you're going to be a safer family, right? You're not going to have to go out finding stuff. Like I mentioned last week, people who are starving do really stupid stuff, and you don't want to be in that group, and you don't want to have that group come to you for things that they might need. Right?
Yeah. So we were talking about this a little while ago. Hard times are training cycles, not just times of suffering. So I think that's really important with conversation we're having today, is we're not just trying to bring up things that were scary or tough, but these are things to learn and grow from. I think it's always good and to look at it from a positive angle and learn from it and grow.
Yeah, definitely. And as you guys are on here, if you guys have stories you want to share, please share with us, right? Ask your questions, right? You can go ahead and type that in. We got you here on the comment section. We can get you live, right? Nancy's there. Hey, brother, making some noise about getting some Highland cattle the other day. I said, you sure about that? That's true. Highland cattle are awesome, man. We really enjoy them. The coolest thing about the Highlands is that you basically don't have to do anything to them. They're very capable of just taking care of themselves. They birth easy, right? They rarely have problems. They have really thick, short, stocky legs, so they rarely twist and break a leg. Like we have topography in our property. It's not just flat and smooth grassland, and so they rarely have problems with disease, right? The other thing, they got that nice shaggy double coat of hair, and that's kind of nice because they don't actually need a barn, right? They just take care of themselves, and now they do take quite a bit longer, but that's okay. They just eat grass, eat bushes, they eat everything. They don't need any special diet like some of the other cattle.
And ours like to go for walks every once in a while. So if they can get through a fence, they like to just maybe go visit the neighbor a little bit every once in a while. And our fences are one of our things on our list for this next season.
We got to upgrade, man. They just beat them up. They're big, strong animals. They're one of them sitting about 1,500 pounds. The other one's probably 1,200 pounds. And when they go at it to fight,
well, that's our problem, having two bulls. For sure.
Bulls. They this 4.5 to 5 inch round posts, the pressure treated ones. It doesn't stop them. They just break them right off. They just run right into them, and even up to the 6 inch size, they'll knock those over. But you just got to upgrade, unfortunately.
They went through full posts even with our barn.
They broke right through them, like right through the barn itself, like roof starting to come down, and they were pressure treated 4x6s.
Or the panel of fence that was like the cartoon shape, cow hole.
They're just very strong. They really are, and they don't. When they're going, then they're fighting, and they're fighting. There's nothing in their way, that's for sure. We went through this also with COVID, right? We talked about that before, where COVID was very, we look back on it like, oh my gosh, right? But it was scary at the time. People didn't have the answer. And all the way to actually staying at home. And it gave us a good test on a lot of our equipment, and a lot of our food, and a lot of our services. We were really lucky, honestly, that COVID happened here around April, May, right? So we really ramped up our garden. We actually took that couple of months of not going to work, right? It was like 45 days or 60 days of staying at home, right? And really caught up on quite a bit of stuff at our farm that we've been neglecting for a long time, right? But we couldn't have done that if we weren't already semi-prepared for that, right? If we hadn't gone through the 2008 and built those strengths, right? As homestead kind of farmers, right? at the same time understanding what we could do on our own farm and putting some food away and storage and stuff like that, right? So that takes us to the comments of like these hard times that make strong people, right? And right now it's a tough time. It's a tough time for a lot of people. We've had inflation. That's a really big one. We had some other notes here, like your economic pressures, right? So we have these rising costs of living, right? We have housing affordability concerns. We have food prices that keep increasing. If you didn't notice, your fuel price just went up 46 cents. Yeah, it's exciting for that. Your job instability, that's happening, right? Everybody's like, hey, yeah, I replaced half the jobs out there with the service industry, and it's going to keep happening, right? So those are always big deals. Interest rates, right now they're kind of up and down and up and down if you haven't really been paying attention. They are tied to oil a lot. Now, typically, when a country goes into a confrontation like a battle or a war, your interest rates drop quite a bit because people buy war bonds, right? And those war bonds drop your rates between half and 3/4 of a point almost all the time. Now it did that, and we actually saw that for about 4 minutes, right? And then what happened is that Strait of whatever over there, where they've been shooting at the ships and tankers, that stopped the oil flow, and so that kind of ate back up the positives that we had, right, in our market for real estate interest, right, for like your mortgages. But eventually that will be under control, is what we all hope, right? And then your regular situation of being in combat or in a war scenario, those war bonds actually buy down the rates, and they do drop your interest rate normally pretty strongly. So you should see that, hopefully, as long as we get control of that strait. But I think the other thing down here is that we have constantly felt like that middle class is being squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter, and we felt that our entire adult life, right? Like we're constantly making more money and somehow having less in the bank at the end of the year, almost every year. No matter how hard we both work as professionals, no matter how we invest, even though we feel like we have quite a few great investments, our greatest investments have been putting food on the farm, right? Because they've been able to circumvent inflation, if that makes sense, right? It doesn't cost us more to raise those vegetables than it did 10 or 15 years ago, right? As long as you have those systems in place. And that's a big one. So another thing we want to talk about was when we had the COVID and we got to break into some of our stuff. We've spoken a little bit ago about not having all the things that we needed, and it's being intentional, right? And so the comments about having the good times and weak times and make weight whipple, right? If you're relying so easily to go down to the grocery store when you need something, rather than going into your shed, right, pulling it off the shelf, you're going to find that at some point you're not going to have that, right? And it's going to interfere with you. We kind of talked about like our children in that way. Our kids nowadays are so used to just going to the store and getting something and just grabbing it right off the shelf. Our parents weren't that way. Our grandparents certainly weren't that way.
No, definitely. We're talking about that, about how just in our generation, how things have become so much more accessible. I mean, you can buy a flat screen TV for $100, and that's so
Crazy.
different than when they were first out. So I think it's just seeing that change from our generation to our kids, and then I think once they start to notice that those conveniences are changed, I think they feel it quicker. They feel it quicker than with us, where we're more resilient. We're used to going without. Like, I don't know about how everyone else was raised, but we didn't have a lot at home, and it was okay. Like, I had my good pair of shoes and my tennis shoes, and that was it. I didn't have a lot of extra. So knowing that things are going to be okay looks a little different for someone like me, maybe, than my kids who are used to going to the grocery store for whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, we have kids right now that every time they want a snack, they just drive to town and get a snack, right? And we don't live that far from town. It's fun that they're able to do that because that's also part of growing up, right? But sometimes it's important just to go and cut celery and put peanut butter on it, right? Put some grapes, some raisins on it, and make your snack like you did when we were kids, right? And not just go down and buy a candy or a bag of chips or whatever, right? I want to tell you another phrase that I found, and I'll throw it up here on the screen as well. So this was actually written in the 90s. This is by Strauss Howe, I think. He was a writer that wrote a book, a whole novel on generational theory, and it's very similar, and it's likely the one that the predecessor to the hard times create strong men comment. Let me see if I can find the right one here. So this one's a little different. This one is hard times create capitalists, right? The people that capitalize on things, and capitalists create good times, and then good times create socialists, and socialists create hard times. That's a little bit different angle on that same idea, but it has a lot of truth and understanding to it, right? Like when you a capitalist, I mean, America is built on capitalists, right? I mean, they want to do things their own way. They don't want anybody to hold them back. We wanted the rights to invention, right? And it made a lot of wealthy people, and it grew a nation at a rate that was faster than any nation prior to it, right? But this happens in cycles, right? And you get these capitalist groups, and you can even think of this in families, right? You have hardworking parents, and you always want something better for your kids. And then sometimes what you end up with is really kind of reserved kids that don't go out and work hard, right? Because they're used to just getting things, right? And then they're used to things being provided to them, and then they expect things to be provided to them, which is the socialist aspect of it, right? And it makes kind of a weak group until, again, they have to get out of that comfort zone and rejoin the hard work effort and start from scratch. We're there today, right? We've known that. Everybody knows that today's kids are not like we were when we were kids. Everybody said it 100 times, right? They don't work like us. They don't go out and build forts and throw pine cones at each other and they use their imagination, right? They have instant everything to them, and our kids sometimes fall in that same boat, right? But I put this to you is that if you want that warrior mindset, or if you want that strength inside your home, then you need to start with some of that, right? You need to really focus on what is it that I can do, that I can gift to my children, or if they go without something, it's just annoying. It's not like total devastation. It's like you don't want that 2-year-old throwing the fit on the ground because they don't have their favorite toy. Right?
Oh yes, the victim mindset. another thing we were talking about. So why is this happening to me? Someone should fix it, and I can't do anything.
Yeah, that's a victim mindset, not a warrior mindset, right? And there's times when we all have those moments where we kind of feel that way, and we almost even internally verbalize that, like, why does this happen to me? Why am I get all the bad luck, right? Maybe you ran out of gas the same week that you popped a tire, the same week that you got in trouble at work or whatever, right?
Burnt your tongue,
yeah, right? Just stubbed your toe twice. Those dumb things, right? But the warrior mindset is being able to take that situation and flip that around, right? And being saying, what is it that I can control, right? What is it that's within my control? And right now there are so many things that we're bombarded with these little freaking rectangles of death, right? And they're telling us all the stuff that we should feel, right? And most of the stuff that we observe, we can't control anyway, right? We're just allowing that to kind of get in our psyche and make us frustrated and feel like a victim when it shouldn't, right? The other thing is, what can I learn, right? What can I learn from the situation, right? So a couple of months ago, our local area here, we have a lot of Navy, right? A lot of Department of Defense, and they went through the time when they weren't getting paid, right? About 2 months where paychecks were on hold because we didn't pass the spending bill, and that's really, really hard. And we understand that feeling firsthand because we went through the recession where that was happening to us, right? And we promise we'll never go back to that. But we truly understand the difficulty of that, and we've reached out to our friends and family that had to go through that, make sure they're okay, because we want them to know that they're supported and they don't have to feel like lesser of people, right? Just because they can't afford something because the paycheck didn't come in. But my question on that is, what they learn, right? Did they learn? Are they today putting stuff away? Are they today having a savings? Do they have cash on hand that's emergency? Last week, ACH payments were hacked, right? So if you weren't aware of that, like the ACH payments is when you get like a paycheck, and it's basically a digital exchange, right, from one account to another, but it's a low-cost digital exchange between banks, right? Well, the ACH for the federal government got hacked last week, and it was like 48 or 72 hours where no ACHs were transferring, and it was like Thursday. They typically got paid on that Friday, so they were freaking out, right? Because what if you didn't get your paycheck and you're relying on it, you had to auto withdraw the next day for your mortgage? You have all the things that are digital that make your life easier, but a lot of people right now are still paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of those families, that even though they have that security of that government type job, they're still catching up from October, November, right? It's really not that far away. And to think you went 60 days without a consistent paycheck, trust us, it takes like 6 months to catch up with one missed payment, right? It can be really difficult and scary for you too.
I think that's part of the warrior mindset though, as well, is looking out for your neighbor, your family, friends, like planning, not necessarily planning to help them, but just stepping up when that is needed. I think that's part of it, being there in a way that you can. We didn't have a lot to offer, but we had enough that it made less of an emergency for other people.
Absolutely. Right. And the other thing that we were able to do, which helped, is we're able to host, right? And every once in a while, it's easier to accept an invitation to somebody's house for dinner than it is for them to say, hey, can I drop off a meal for you? Right. It's just that sometimes inside you're like, man, I don't want to ask for any help, even if we did just miss 2 paychecks in a row and I don't got anything in the fridge, right? And I'm running on a credit card. So maybe that's a way that you can reach out to your friends and family and neighbors in the future, is just be like, hey guys, we're having a barbecue. We got everything, bring a side salad or something, right? Because if you know they're going through that type of a hardship, you can really be there for them, right? And that's that warrior mindset, right? Is your tribe, your people around you that are going through life with you. And that's really important. The next thing there is like, how do you get stronger, right? So your warrior mindset is not just what did I learn, but how can I get to a point when this doesn't affect me if something happens like this in the future, right? One of the things that we try to do is we really try not to let any car go to zero on the fuel tank, right? We have had probably 7 or 8 different times where our debit card, because we got fuel somewhere, got like turned off, and then you couldn't use your debit card to get fuel, and you're like, wow, I am at like really low fuel and I can't even use my card, right? And maybe we're even out of town or something, and that can be really hard too. So try and keep money in the ashtray, right? Those types of things where it's actual cash, where you don't have to rely on that one system. And then how do we prepare, right? And that's a big thing too, is as a warrior, you got to decide, how am I going to prepare for the worst scenario I can imagine, right? And for us, obviously not the worst scenario, but one of the scenarios that was likely is our systems of exchange don't work, right? Our debit cards don't work. We need to get from point A to point B. Our communication system is down, right? Something that to us doesn't give us peace of mind to know where each other are, right? Or whether or not they've made it home. That's really like one of the scariest things that we have, like in our normal daily life, right? And we can build systems around that. We've had a couple of moments, I don't know if you recall, but the Nisqually earthquake, right? We were around for that, and I was at work and Terry was at college, and we were in the middle of this thing happening. And if you don't recall, you couldn't call people at that time. There were so many people trying to reach out that
you couldn't call local.
You couldn't call anything local, right? All the local radio or the cell towers were just jammed, right? And that was a difficult time, right? Because you went, man, I got this fancy, it was like the first BlackBerry flip device, right? Like you had like a stylus and everything. I should be able to get a hold of anyone, right? I got great reception everywhere. And you couldn't find out if your family was okay. And having backup systems, or just, hey, I will call you within this period of time, trust I'm going to be all right. And having those skills to know that your family can take care of themselves, right? That's important too.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Just trusting that your family knows how to keep themselves safe. Yeah. I think that's really important. Otherwise, you start to kind of go down that rabbit hole of worry.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that's today's thing too, right? Like you and I, we can't control things outside of us. We can't at all. All we can do is learn how to react to them or be ready to react to them. And those trainings are not just in the pantry, right? Those trainings are, okay, it's time to ramp things up. It's like, okay, times are tough, turn the power down and start using the fireplace, right? Like I mentioned it in a quick post the other day, but if you're having a problem with electronics in your house, go shut the power off. And I would actually behoove you of this, right? Go and test this with your home one of these weekends when you don't got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Go and just shut the breaker off and see what happens. See if your kids are standing in front of the refrigerator letting all the cold air out all weekend, and then have that conversation. Hey, if the power's out, you don't want to leave the refrigerator open for very long because it's not going to cool back off and we're going to waste our food, right? So remember, anytime your power is off, you have about 3 days to eat everything in your fridge, and then you have about 4 more days to eat everything that was in your freezer because it's thawing out now, right? And then you go to your freeze dried or your stored stuff that's more shelf stable, right? But to do that gives you that period of time, and hopefully hopefully you guys are in a situation where you have weeks and weeks and weeks full of food and a recoup plan, right? Which is the big thing that we want to train you is it's best to leave those canned foods until you need them, like the winter when you can't grow your vegetables, right? And if you're in a situation during the spring or the summer where you need to dig into your food storage rather than go to the grocery store, well, I certainly hope you're digging into the garden and making those foods fresh, right?
Finding those carrots.
Finding those carrots. I found half a 5-gallon bucket of carrots that we overlooked or something from last year. Gordon's on here. He says, my uncle was working in LA during the big earthquake in 71, had to drive over 200 miles out of his way to get home because collapsed overpasses. Yep. And always have gas in your tank. That is 100% true. And that would be a terrifying situation because back in 1971, they did not have a cell phone unless you were in the military and it was a big backpack, right? They didn't have those big old car phones yet. And they had the dial phone right on the side of the road and a phone booth. And other than that, you're calling from a bar. But in that scenario, yeah, so many things would have been down. They're all hardwired at that time. And the ability to just contact your loved ones and not let them know you're okay and find out they're okay, that would be scary, right? But I would bet you they were less worried about it in 1971 than we would have been today. And I say that because I know my family about that time expected that they were all capable of taking care of each other. My mother, my grandmother, my grandparents, my uncles were all capable of just going in and cooking. And if they couldn't get the stove to work, they'd pull out the old camp stove and it would just be immediate. It's just be part of what they do, right? And practicing that today might give you some more confidence in your family. But I would say do it. That's that warrior mindset, to be ready for the unthinkable, right? And
but don't dwell on it necessarily.
Yeah, just move right past it.
Focusing on the things in your control. Otherwise, if you focus on the things outside your control, you're just wasting your time and energy.
Totally. But yeah, I definitely want to recap on like the kids, right? So make sure you're reaching up. You got younger kids, teenagers for sure, even probably down to maybe 6th grade, 5th grade. If you got kids out there, even nephews, right? Ask them if they know the things that are going on, right? Because they might have an idea out there and they talk in school about what's happening, and you don't want them to be afraid. You want them to be confident they have systems to help protect them, right? And most times, what kids are saying back and forth in classes is not accurate, right? It's not how you would explain that to them with love and care, right? And we've seen it. We've heard it. Terry, as a teacher, heard it a number of times. Kids walking by, did you know? And they go off on some story. So, well, kind of, And right now it's happening all across, right?
Well, and you can reassure them that things are fine.
Yeah, things are fine.
Generally.
All right, what else do we have up there? We got a marker board to remind us what to talk about. I don't know. I think the big thing there to remember today, you guys, is that we don't want you to be victims of stuff, right? We want you to really be warriors of things. And you can set yourself up and your family up for those situations, and practicing them and really having a plan is really important. I'm sure you can tell Terry and I, we have years of different aspects of like our home plans, and we still have things to improve, right? We still do. We get to a point sometimes when our freezers are full of nothing that we eat, right? And we got to go through and throw that stuff out every once in a while. We go through times when we look at our pantry and we go, man, like we've been pulling from all those green beans or, carrots or whatever that we have in a regular canned storage area. And we're like, it's time to go recoup that, right? And I know for us, when we went through that time with the recession, stayed home and ate a lot of our stuff, we definitely didn't have enough spices. We didn't have enough salt. We didn't have enough dairies and butters and cooking product like oils, right? And we found that we had to order those things in. And we ordered a lot of those from Amazon at the time, right? But those are only as available as that available service, right?
Yeah.
If you're locked in and staying home.
Just trying to grow from those tougher times.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. One thing I want to talk to you guys about today too, if you haven't noticed, depending on what you buy on Amazon right now, there's a lot of stuff on Amazon that's getting blocked out based on your purchase style. So you can Google a lot of that, right? It's happening all over to a lot of different groups right now. So if you're looking at buying equipment or food storage stuff, if you buy, typically it's more than 2 of a product. So if you buy a third product or more, you're going to get flagged and they're going to say not able to deliver to you. It's happening all over. It's going to be medical supplies. It's going to be like all your freeze-dried foods. It's going to be survival equipment, right? I heard the other day someone tried to buy a set, three or five, I can't remember, those headlamps, right? A whole bunch of headlamps, which is a unique thing to restrict, but it's based on buyer profile. So make sure that you're going out and doing the right things and finding what you need little by little. I think you can look up, and there's some big ways of kind of circumventing that algorithm, but be aware of it, right? Because you don't want to get in a position where you kind of put it off and then you do need something and you can't get it in the volume or the quantity that you want. I know I heard just the other day a guy tried to order a 6-pack of Baofeng radios. He got flagged. His wife tried to order and she got flagged immediately also, living in the same household. So, and that was a local guy here. So just buy one or two, a pack of 2, right? Buy the one that's already a pack rather than individuals, and it doesn't look silly to the algorithm, right? Those type of things. Gordon, what you got there? No question. A go bag for good hiking boots, socks, warm clothing, and some food, and a first aid kit, plus whatever else you think you need is something everyone should have in their cars too. Yeah, absolutely, right? We're actually going to do a whole video on a go bag or a bug out bag or a get home bag. They're all a little bit different, but depending on who you are, where you work, where you tend to work, those things should fill that bag. And right now it's a storm outside, right? So it's not like we're out of winter storm season, right? And if you're in the mountains right now, I heard 3 to 5 feet of snow today and tomorrow in our local Olympics, Cascades. And that's a lot of snow. That's as much snow as I've had anyway. So if you're up there and you're traveling, that's a big deal, right? Extra blanket's a big thing, and definitely something to always try and plan for. And we'll do a whole video on that, on how to put one together, what we would put in there, and then we'll actually show. We have these little, they're like ammo cans, but they're the plastic ones, and we put little like the Red Cross sign on them, and we filled each one of those for each of the cars for the kids' cars and our cars, which are a medical kit. And it's a nice weather tight box that can get kicked around, bumped around, but it's easy to grab in case they need it. And it has just about everything equally in each car if we ever need to know. In fact, when we did it, we actually stuffed them all the same way so that you know where everything was consistent between the vehicles. And that's something to always have to. I think that's vital and important. All right. Well, we're trying to keep these things to half an hour for you guys, right? Because we felt like an hour was too long for most people to enjoy. But bring your questions. We will have Family Friday, right? And we're doing that this week as well. And join us. We definitely love having you guys here. And keep an eye out. If you haven't reached out and gone to the Patreon yet, please sign up for the Patreon. There is a free version, right? So just go to that patreon.com/OneStrongHome. Sign up for that. We would love for you to go to the paid version. You actually receive more, so you actually get some discounts even on our sales stuff at our store. So you'll definitely get the value of it. But some people just want free stuff and see what they get for free. So log into that, because eventually this YouTube link will go away altogether. We did a course the other day on firearm training, pistol training, so you can grab that link there as well too. It was a lot of fun. And we also showed up there turkey butchering, right? So those things you obviously can't show on regular YouTube. I don't want you actually ending the life of an animal, but it's very important to see that in real time, right? So that you can maybe do that someday if you haven't had hands-on experience. All right, guys, that's what I got. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us, those of you that were here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here in person. That's awesome. And we'll keep growing and we'll keep sharing stuff. If you have ideas for new videos, get a hold of us for admin@onestronghome.com, right? You can email us anytime or reach out on any one of these and leave us a link or a comment, and we'll try and add it to our future questions. All right, thanks, guys. Have a great night. We'll catch you soon.